Welcome back. In this video, we shall learn how to style elements in React using CSS. In React, we can style our elements using the inline CSS method or the style sheet method or even using CSS modules. Let's say we have this header component right here and I want to style this component using the style sheet method. But before that, I want to say something. In React, we do not assign class values to elements the way we do in regular HTML, which is just by saying class. In React, we use the class name keyword. And that's because the word class is a reserved name in JavaScript, and it is also an underlying JavaScript DOM API property. So let's style our header component here using the style sheet method. To do that, let's come over to our src folder and create a .css file. So in our src folder, I'll create a file called index.css. Ensure this is in the src folder. Now let's create a class name in our header component. Let's come here and let's say header class. Now to style the header class we have in our header components, let's go to our CSS file first and let's ensure, okay, and let's say header class, and let's give it a background color of blue, it's a color of white. Let's save that. If we head over to our browser now, we are going to see we have no style showing up, and that's because our header component has to access the index.css file, and the way to do that is to import the CSS file in our header component, and we can do that by saying import index.css. Now let's save that and let's head over to our browser once more to see what we have. As you can see, the whole of our header component has a background color of blue and a color of white. Now this is how to use the regular style sheet method to style our React components. Now let us style our banner components using the inline CSS method. Let's head over to the banner component. We are going to use two approaches for this method. The first is coming here in our p tag and saying style is equal to double curly brackets background color, set that to a string of red, and let's save that. Now let's go back to our browser to see what we have before I come back and explain what we have here. As you can see, we have a red background color for our banner section. Now let's head back to our VS Code. Let me explain what we have here. Now the double curly brackets here are used to get us away from CSS to JSX, then to JavaScript. And the reason why the background color has no space like the regular CSS properties is because this is now a JavaScript object. Now the second way I use the inline CSS is by coming here at the top and creating an object of style properties like so. I can just say const, using the const keyword, I can say my style is equal to an object, font size, let's say I want to make it 100px, and passing a comma there because this is an object, and I say color, I set that to brown. After declaring this variable that holds my CSS properties, I'll come here to the p tag. Let's get rid of this. I'll come here to the p tag and set style to this using just one curly bracket. I'll say my style. Now when I save this and go back to my browser, you'd see I have this. This is the banner section. the fonts are now very big because I set the font size to 100 pixels. Now let's go back to our VS Code. I use the convention of not having to come here and say font size like the regular CSS method. I used the camel case method to do this because this is a JavaScript object. This is not regular CSS. And also, just to mention, some of you might make the mistake of saying font size is equal to. No. Always use the colon like so. Now let's learn how to use the CSS modules in React. And the way to do that is by creating a file like so. Let's come over to the src folder and let's create a file like so. Let's say new.module.css. And now we have our CSS module file created. Now let's style the About Us section with the CSS module. The first thing to do, let's import new style. This is actually a variable name that we are assigning to our CSS module from new.module.css. Okay, this has to be wrapped in quotes. As you can see, the import statement here is different from the way we import our regular CSS files in our components. So let's head over to our new.module.css file and let's create a class. And let's set our color to blue. Let's save that. Now let's head back to our about.jsx file. Now let's effect our style on our h2 tag. And to do that, let's come here in our h2 tag. Let's say class name set to new style dot main. Now let me explain what's happening here. I am actually using this new style as an alias to access every item I have in my CSS file. Now let's head over to our browser to see what we have. Let's scroll down. As you can see, it says, do you know about Niger project on YouTube? The color is blue. This alias will be used to access all of the items in our new.module.css. So let's say I have another one here that says fill, and I set the color to green. I save that and I head back to our about.jsx and I create a p tag here that says this is a tag. I'll just pass in a class name and I'll say new style dot fill. So the alias known as new style is used to access every item in my new.module.css file. Now let's head over to my browser to see what we have. As you can see, we have the paragraph tag here that says this is a tag and the color is green. And before we go to the next video, you see in React, when writing JSX, which is like HTML, and you want to pass in a JavaScript variable or anything JavaScript in the JSX, you would wrap it in curly brackets. So if I have a variable here that says const name set to Migrant solutions, and I save that, and I want to pass that in any of my tags here, I'll just come here and pass in curly brackets and I'll say name. Now if I save that, go back to my browser, you can see it says, do you know about Niger project on YouTube, Migrant solutions? So the value of my variable name here is passed into my h2 heading tag. So just always note that when you are in JSX and you want to interpret JavaScript, you wrap it You wrap that in a curly bracket. Don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe, and don't forget to share. See you in the next video.